This video is brought to you by WeGotSoccer.com. Be sure to visit We Got Soccer for everyday low prices on all the latest soccer gear. Don't forget to use coupon code SR4U at checkout for $10 off an order of $100 or more. Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com bringing you an unboxing video of a pair of X-Blades Legend Elites. If you're not familiar with X-Blades, they're a company based out of Australia. And if you are familiar with X-Blades, you're most likely familiar with them because you follow rugby to some extent, because that's really where these are more popular. But it's a big misconception that X-Blades are designed specifically for rugby, because they're not. They're designed for both soccer and rugby. It's just that they're not as popular in the soccer market for various reasons. They are still a smaller company based out of Australia. So I'm sure that in Australia you're going to see much more X-Blades in use for soccer rather than you're going to see in Europe or even North America for that matter. But I was in contact with them and they wanted me to kind of review their shoes as a soccer shoe. So we're going to do that here, and from what I can tell, the quality of these shoes is really, really nice. The Legend Elite, like we have here, which I'm well aware of, is very similar to the Nike name, so no need to kind of go over that in the comment section, although I'm sure some of you already will. Nobody's copying anybody here, but this is kind of the more traditional shoe from X-Blades, featuring a kangaroo leather upper here in the front, and the kangaroo leather is really good quality, which I would expect it to be considering that the shoe is coming from Australia, where I think that's pretty much the only place where they get kangaroo leather. I'm not entirely sure on that one. But the leather is a little bit stiff from right out of the box, at least from what I can tell. But that's generally a good sign that the leather is going to wear in really nicely. It's going to soften up and it's not going to overstretch and keep its shape really nicely, which is what you would want from a kangaroo leather upper. As far as other kind of unique elements on the shoe, you have a very small striking element on the instep, which is kind of an interesting design to go with such a traditionally styled shoe, at least through the upper. So you have this very small vamp on the inside here, which I'm kind of curious to try out. It seems fairly minimalistic, where you're not going to notice it when you're touching the ball, like making little touches and dribbling, but you may notice it when you're passing or even striking the ball. So again, curious to try that out. As far as the midsole goes, you have a synthetic leather upper to kind of allow it to keep its shape a little bit better. It's not going to overstretch on you, and like I said, it's just going to fit tighter through the midfoot once you pull the laces tight. You do have a pre-flapped full leather tongue, which is really nice as well. It's going to cover your laces if that's one of your concerns. And then you have kind of this little extra plastic thing at the top here, which has two lace holes really close together. And this is good because once you pull the laces tight, when the lace holes are so close together like this, it allows you to really get a nice tight fit at the top of the shoe. And once you've pulled the laces tight and tied your knot, they're not going to loosen up at all. So that's something that's really nice. If you're one of those people that has a lot of struggles with keeping your laces tight, you like to have your shoes nice and tight and they tend to loosen up kind of 20 minutes, 30 minutes into wearing them, that's not going to happen on this particular shoe because of that little mechanism they have on the top. As far as the inside of the shoe is concerned, you have a synthetic leather heel liner, which is really nicely padded as well. And then I pulled out the insole already, and the insole is really nice as well. You have a good thickness to it, and you have the pour-on inserts through the midfoot and the heel area. So again, nice and comfortable to have. It's perforated as well, so it's going to allow for a little bit of breathability. It's also nice and lightweight, which is nice, while still maintaining a pretty good amount of cushioning. As far as the other elements on the outside of the shoe, you have an external heel counter, which we're seeing less and less of on soccer shoes, which I think is a shame. I'm really a big fan of the external heel counter, and this is a nice big one here. It not only is going to provide protection against kicks from the back or anything like that, but they also do a really good job of just keeping your heel really kind of firm and planted in the shoe, and I just think they do a better job than the internal heel counters. Of course, you have the X-Blades logos on the back as well. But as far as the sole plate is concerned here, you have what is called the Bionic sole plate from X-Blades, and this is kind of what makes these shoes really unique in my opinion. You have this dual density construction here, where the forefoot uses a different density of plastic rather than the midfoot and heel area. The forefoot's going to be more flexible. I would imagine to be slightly thinner, where the midfoot area is very, very stiff. You can't bend it at all, which is really nice, and it's going to provide that really good solid feel on your feet, which is very important in a soccer shoe, at least in my opinion. And as far as the stud pattern goes, you have the XRS, which is X-release system, and it's very, very unique in that the studs are not only designed to provide really good traction, but they have safety in mind, similar to what we've seen from Asics, where it's designed to have that good traction, like I said, but you're never going to get stuck in the ground, which can be an issue when you have these bladed stud patterns. You're going to notice that the stud pattern is just very kind of different. You have these three studs that are kind of parallel one way, Then you have these other two studs there. It's just fairly unique. You have these two push-off studs here at the toe. Very, very different. And then of course your standard classic 4-bladed studs at the back, but even those are slightly angled quite differently than you would normally get, instead of just being completely straight. So again, I'm very, very curious to try this one out. You can see you have the little flex grooves here in the forefoot area, again, to just allow for better flexion. And it just seems very, very solid, although it doesn't have quite the nice finishing quality that you might get from, let's say, a Nike shoe with the kind of the fancy graphics on there. I feel like this is really going to get the job done and provide really good kind of stud pressure dispersion, so you're not going to have any kind of issues with discomfort or anything like that. And the stiffness and overall solidness of the sole plate is really going to make up for the lack of let's say visual polish or something like that. And as far as the durability of the shoe is concerned, that's the first thing that struck me when I took it out of the box, was how solidly built it is. Everything really feels nicely done. The bond between the sole and the upper is fantastic. It's glued and stitched in all the way around the midfoot here, all the way stitched through with this like very thick kind of I don't know what I would call it, some kind of twine material. Really nicely how they did it. And overall, I feel like this shoe is going to last a really long time. Really excited to get to wear this shoe and try it out. Like I said, X-Blades, if you're not familiar with them, I definitely recommend looking them up a little bit. If you want to check out the full written review, that'll be up in a couple of weeks or so on the review page of my website. But in the meantime, if you do want to check out the high quality pictures of these shoes to give you guys a better idea as to how these shoes actually do look in person, as well as buy it now links for these particular shoes if you're interested in checking out pricing and all that kind of stuff, that will also be on the review page. So if you do want to check that out, again, that link will be in the description, so go ahead and check that out if that does interest you. Any questions or comments you guys have about this shoe, go and leave one down below. And any questions you guys have not related to the video, go ahead and leave that on my Facebook page. There will be a link in the description of that as well. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.